All right, good morning, Alta Realty Group agents. This is Kevin Lauren, the Director of Training and Marketing here. And today we're going to go over a couple different things. We're going to have Lauren Noack join us, and we're going to go over Dotloop briefly again. Just make sure everybody received the invite from Dotloop. That, of course, is now our transaction management system. So we'll be replacing SkySlope by the end of the month. So we want everybody to at least log in and find your logins, all that good stuff, and make sure that it's working for you. So we will get into that. We're also going to be talking today about the prospecting, a couple different prospecting checklists that are available on Breakthrough Broker. So we'll bring those up as well. But prior to that, let's have Bill Seitz join us. Bill, good morning. How are you today?
Very good, Kevin. Good morning. How are you?
Doing fantastic, thanks. Yeah, so Bill is going to bring us up to speed with what's going on in mortgage land, but also a couple different little housekeeping items today. First of all, I want to welcome a few of the new agents on the line. It's always great to have some of our new agents that have just joined us. I noticed Joyce Bizarro is on the line with us, brand new agent to Alta, so welcome, Joyce. And a couple other little small housekeeping items. Just want to make sure everybody did get the invite to Dotloop. That's really important. If you didn't, just contact me. We're going to have you go through your spam folder. And we're also going to have you perhaps contact Dotloop support, since they don't send out that initial welcome email more than once. So important stuff. Without further ado, Bill, what's going on in mortgage land today?
Well, first of all, it's nice to be back on the webinar. I was able to, I think I've been absent for 2 weeks now.
We apologize for the last week. We're all ready to go, and we had power outages throughout the state, and we were no different. So,
oh right, I forgot about that because I was up in Mammoth fly fishing with my dad, and I remember seeing that message come across. So you guys had to pull the plug, huh?
About 5 minutes before it started, we were all ready to go.
Well, that's just lovely.
Yeah, totally.
No, something we cannot control.
Nope, it's just the way things go. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I know Cameron's been doing a really good job at coming on and providing some valuable insight into finance and what we do over here at Clearview Mortgage. Cameron was unavailable this morning, so he and I kind of are tag teaming this part of the webinar. And just this morning, as I kind of looked through, the U.S. Treasury's 10-year Treasury, as most of us know, who's been on these webinars with us for the last few years, have been really well versed in kind of how the mortgage markets work in connection with the 10-year U.S. Treasury. And since we didn't really get to chat about it last week, as I look over week, we're about 10 basis points up higher this week than we were last week at this time, last Wednesday, but still relatively low at 1.33. So if we go back even to the spring of this year, the 10-year Treasury was all the way up at 1.73. So, mortgage rates have really come down since March and April. And, they're kind of bobbing around, not quite to where they were obviously last year, but, obviously, rates are incredibly low. A lot of different options out there for your borrowers, and affordability is still there. And another thing I'm noticing, I don't know what, maybe sometime in the next week or so, I'd like to get some feedback from some of our agents, and because we're a broad company where we have agents all throughout the state of California. I'd like to get some feedback on local markets, what's happening in your local market, whether it's Bay Area or San Diego or Inland Empire or Sacramento. I'd like to kind of get a feel for what the agents that are working with buyers, how competitive those offers are now. I feel like I'm seeing a little bit of pullback in the amount of offers that are coming in, which I think is a healthier environment for us as realtors and in real estate. When we work at this fast and furious pace, and it's, appreciation's going through the roof, and you've got 20 offers, and you're trying to get in there with your client, and you're doing all these things. It's really stressful for everybody. And I just, hopefully we kind of get some relief, get back down to more realistic, a couple offers with each listing. And that way we can get more properties into escrow, and also, get our clients
time.
Man, a lot of time wasted writing multiple offers. I mean, I feel for the buyer agents out there. I mean, it's to prepare an offer professionally and put together a well thought through offer, check all the boxes, get everything organized, write the cover letter, get everything done. It's a lot of work. And that's just the beginning, right? That's just the start. So I feel for you agents out there that are doing that, 10, 15 times or whatever it is for your buyers. I've been, Rick at Clearview Mortgage is, he's asked me to help him, being a friend of his for a long time, to help him sell his property in San Diego. Also helped him get into escrow with a property here in Carlsbad. I got a full taste of what it's like. I think I submitted 3 or 4 offers for him, so it wasn't too bad to get it accepted. But I was lucky because it had fallen out with the first buyer. So the buyer backed out. We were still ready to pounce. And so we kind of slid in underneath that. So, but I think it's good if maybe we can open up the chat maybe next week, Kevin. And I'd like to see what the sentiments are out there across the different regions, because I think it's good to understand if the market is shifting or is it not, or where is it shifting.
That's a great point. And so, yeah, if anybody has, most people do have a microphone, and I can bring you on. So that'd be great if you guys can kind of, think about that for next week, and we can bring you guys on, and we can have a good discussion on what's happening in the market. So I think that's a great idea, Bill.
Yeah. And then lastly, I'm just keeping my eyes on some of this eviction policy, with a lot of the COVID relief, stimulus. There's been a lot of, rules and guidelines for landlords about evictions and, what's happening. It seems like a lot of it's kind of bubbling to the top now. So that's something I'm going to keep an eye on this next week, because it seems like there's new information coming out. And I think that might be helpful for everyone to understand kind of where the policies are and what we can do to maybe, speak to our landlords or to our potential buyer clients, or who've maybe had some issues with their jobs or whatever. I'm going to kind of put together something on that.
Oh, that's fantastic. Excellent. So yeah, I appreciate that, Bill. All right. And let me get rid of my screen here, or my treasury screen here, and we'll bring on Lauren Noack. Lauren, how are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
All right, welcome. Lauren, of course, is the owner of TC Advantage. She is now our go-to TC, and she's helping us do compliance. So welcome, Lauren. Always a pleasure to have you on the webinar with us.
Thank you. Happy to be back.
Yeah, and Lauren, would you like to share your screen with us?
Sure.
Okay, perfect. So we're just going to have Lauren kind of just give us another overview of Dotloop, how you start a loop, and that the transactions in Dotloop are known as loops. So yeah, take it away, Lauren.
All righty. So there were just a couple of things that I wanted to kind of go back over and touch back on. Currently on the screen is the dashboard for Dotloop. This is kind of everybody's files, but when you log in, you would see only your files. And I really wanted to focus today on the aspect of uploading and submitting the documents, and the process of how to submit the documents and the importance of that, because unless the process to submit the documents is completed, then the compliance team doesn't get notified that there are documents to review. And even if we are able to go in and see documents that have been uploaded, we are not able to change the status or to leave notes or to really review them unless they've been submitted. So while we can go in and see them, we really can't do anything about it. So this is a really important step in submitting documents to get approval and eventually through to the releasing the CDA for your files. So I wanted to go through a couple of options. The feature in Dotloop for splitting documents is available, but it's not really fine-tuned. So it's a little bit clunky. I wouldn't recommend using it for, say, a full disclosure package or something like that. Maybe something smaller if you have, 2 repair request documents that are in the same attachment or something like that. And so I'll walk through just sort of that simple process first.
That'd
Again,
be great, Lauren. And one quick question. I know we had a couple of agents that they start with a very large PDF.
mhm.
So they're having questions. So maybe you could go over like what maybe the best practice when you have those big giant PDFs, and maybe what would be the best way to get those into the Dotloop system.
Sure. So you're talking about size-wise or
Yeah.
like multiple attachments combined?
I know Tom Fesky had an issue where, his the way that he downloads his information was just like a giant PDF, I think. So,
Ah,
right.
yeah.
So
So I'll
maybe there's a
touch,
better way to do that.
yeah, there are a couple of options. And so I can touch base on that first if
That'd be great.
needed.
Sure.
So again, the way that the templates are set up are for the individual documents, and it might seem like a big pain in the initial setup process, but it really ends up being helpful if you have a package of disclosures of 32 different documents and something smack in the middle is missing a single initial. Then you need to go through the process of getting that initialed and then resubmitted and taking it out of the package, putting it back together, and that whole sort of thing. It
Right.
also is really helpful to see what is specifically required from the office, and it won't let you submit an individual folder or a group until the items that are marked required are submitted. And again, we're open to kind of modifying and making this as user friendly as possible for how you guys work and what your workflow is. So we can certainly make those modifications if needed overall. But for right now, this is kind of how it's set up. So
Yeah, and this is
when you
brand new, so we will be making some refinements and kind of tightening it up.
Exactly. And we're definitely open to that feedback. We want it to be as seamless of a process as possible. And it's easy for me coming from the TC compliance document management realm. I can, use keyboard shortcuts and a few clicks and a program, and it's all done in seconds. And so I know that that's not how agents operate, and so we really want to make it user friendly for you guys. So
Yeah, and along those lines, remember, you guys get a very good commission split with ARG, and I think everybody at on the management level really believes that you should use Lauren as a TC and just let her do her magic. You guys get out there and work your magic and do what you guys do best. But I do understand that some people are like, nope, we handle this ourselves, and this is the way we want to do it. So that's why we, of course, are having
yeah,
this
and if you
conversation.
guys have a TC or an office assistant, executive assistant that does this for you, that they're not familiar with Dotloop, have them reach out to me. I'm happy to walk them through how to do it, and give them kind of quick tips and things like that for the program. But part of our service, we do all of this back end stuff for you. We create the loop, we upload the documents, we submit them for compliance, we split everything up, and then at the end of the day, you have access to this file as well. So that's typically included in most TC services. So if you are a user that does this on your own, or if we have some agents that they do all the listing paperwork themselves, and then they hand it over to us once it's in escrow. And so if you want to be submitting your listing paperwork, or there's just certain elements that you want to jump in on a weekend or a holiday and access there's a ton of different scenarios. So just a quick background. So if, for example, you have a document that you want to upload, and if you need to split it up for whatever reason, you have an option of a couple of ways. When you're in Dotloop, you can click on Add Document. It gives you these 3 options. Typically, you're just going to browse, and it will open up a window where you keep all of your documents, and you can select it from there. You can also email to the specific file email. That's really similar to SkySlope. Some agents and teams use a file email. You have that option as well. Or you can just drag and drop, and then it will upload the document there. So when you have the document and you need to submit it or assign it, to use similar SkySlope technology to a placeholder field, you just have to drag and drop. And so you click and hold on the document, and then you hover over where you want to drop it, and it will show you, it will say, replace with. And so then that will now assign that document to that placeholder. And so now that document is in there. Now, this example of the repair request, the placeholder field allows you to just have them all together in one attachment. In order to submit the file, we would need just at least one of the documents assigned to that field. But if you have everything separate as well, that's fine too. If this is a case where you need to split up the documents, you would click on that document and hover over the File tab, click on Split Document, and this is their document splitter function. And so it's not awesome. You have to know a couple of things. One, in advance, you need to know how many documents you're splitting this up into. So it's always kind of a good idea to go through it first and figure out, which pages are going to be assigned and which documents you need to split it up into. That's why I don't really recommend doing a full disclosure package or a full contract.
Yeah, that's where Tom was having some trouble. He had this
exactly.
Giant
So yeah, and because he was also discovering too that if you go in and you say, oh, I only need to split this up into 2 documents, and then you go through and you say document 1 and document 2, and then you're like, oh, that's right, I have one more document. I need this, instead of 2 pages or 2 documents, I need it to be 3. Well, then it messes with the page numbers. So now you got to go back and reconfigure which page numbers get which documents. And then again, when you're 24 pages deep into a contract, I don't blame him for passing on this feature. So if you just need something quick for just 1 or 2 documents, this is a quick way to do it. You can go in here, assign the name, and then click on Split the Document, and it will take you back to the screen, and you'll see it's split up all the documents for you. So let me go back here to where we were, and now you'll see that it's split all of those individual documents, and you can drag and drop and assign them to whatever field you need them to go into. If you have something that is much bigger, like a contract, you have a couple of options. There are features in zip forms. You have the option to split your documents in zip forms. And let me just pull that up here.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the kind of the go-to way
right.
to do it. Split them up first.
There it is.
Before they come in
here somewhere.
to
Exactly. Yeah, and that's kind of going to have to be the solution for now. They're working on improving that aspect, but right now it kind of sucks. So if you're in zip forms, if you're in your file and you've sent it through, whether it's the digital ink program or DocuSign, you have the signed contract, or if you just want to upload it to zip forms, you can do that as well. When you click on the document to open it up, you have an option. It's a big document, so it's gonna take a second. From here, you have the option to split the documents. There is also the option, let me close out real quick here. If you just select the individual document, then you have the option, you can, well, I guess you can't split multiple documents, so it wouldn't let you. But you can go from the drop down instead of opening up the full document and just go straight to the option to split these documents. And again, it'll open it up here.
Yeah, that's going to be much better to do it that way.
Yeah, and this gives you a preview of the actual documents. And so you can go through and tell the system, it doesn't give you kind of like the drop down options, but you can call this, seller counter 1, and this is pages 1 to 1. And then, you can kind of scroll through the document as you go through and do the rest of the documents and how you want to split them.
Yeah, and that way you're kind of when you're splitting them, you can keep in mind, how that's going to be going into Dotloop, right?
Right, and it doesn't have to match the names of the placeholders in Dotloop, because when you drag and drop, it will automatically rename the document the placeholder name. So if it's something that you reference that's much easier for you, then you can just do it that way. Yeah. So you'll see here, we split it up. Now this is just that one page, and this is all the other documents. So if you use zip forms, you can then have all of the separate attachments, select them all, download them as a PDF, and then drag and drop that into Dotloop. One of the other options that you can do is you can use Glide. Glide also does that same feature. If you're in the individual transaction for Glide, you can click into the Documents tab. You can upload your full contract in here. And then you have an option here to split the document as well. If you have the Pro version of Glide, which I highly recommend, it will scan all of these documents. It will auto split them and auto name them. So it will automatically break everything up and tell you, this is a counter, this is seller replacement of purchase property. It will automatically do all of that for you. So it's kind of a cool feature, but it is with the paid Pro account with Glide. Otherwise, same thing, only this is a little bit bigger version of all of the documents that are used. So
do you know what the Pro account costs?
I don't remember. Because this is my TC account, it just gives me a link. You can get 10% off. So if any of you guys want that link, I could put it in the chat. But right. You have that option, and I think it's a CRMLS member benefit. I can give everybody more information if they like it, but if they'd like. But
yeah, I think you're probably right. I think it is a CRMLS benefit.
Yeah. So different areas have different options available.
I just looked it up. The Pro version is $45 a month.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But it does a lot more than split documents. So if it's a whole other system. It's really a more modern version of zip forms. And so you have access to all of the CAR documents. This is a program that helps you fill out all of the property disclosures. You can scan and sort multiple offers for clients, create a summary. It's a whole beast. That's a whole other webinar for Glide. But
I like it. We'll have to do it.
Yeah, it's awesome. They actually started out as just a document splitter, and it was kind of this underground thing in the TC world where we would dump all of our disclosure packages into it, and it would split them and name them in seconds. And then they slowly evolved from there to become, a lot more involved and have a lot more features. So, but as you go through and you're doing, your documents, you can start to type in the document name, and it will auto populate, what some of the document names might be, which is also really helpful.
Yeah.
So Glide is another option if you have, a huge disclosure package. You would go through, split everything up. Now it's split the documents and rename them. You can select them all and download them and then dump that into Dotloop. Another final option that's not paid, not zip forms, not Glide, is a program called I Love PDF. I Love PDF does all kinds of PDF things. If you size-wise, you download a massive, 10 megabyte file, and you need to shrink it down, we dump stuff into compressed PDF all the time. You can merge your documents together, or if you need to redact some information, if you're doing like a client's proof of funds or bank statements or things like that, you can come in here and just white out or adjust, redact sections of the document if needed. But for this purpose, this webinar, we'll talk about the splitting the PDF. And so you can take your whole document, drop it like it's hot.
That's so cool.
And then this will be a different kind of layout, but similar concept, right? So you'll say custom ranges because each document is going to be a little bit different. So you would say, 1 to 2, and you can rename them, split them up separately, group them. You can, again, merge them all back together into one. But you have a couple of those options there as well. Then you hit split PDF, and you download it, and it's totally free. You can add it to Drive, you can do links, but then you have your documents here, and you can drag and drop those into Dotloop. So once you get all of those split up, then you can just come over here, and if you have them individually, instead of dumping everything into the folder and then dragging and dropping those, you can actually take the individual document and hover over the placeholder and drop it that way.
Ooh,
and so then that will be a little bit quicker. Okay, so for submitting items for review, when you want to submit documents for review, you want to make sure the button to submit them for review is up here in the top right corner, submit for review. And it's going to ask you which folders you want to submit for review. And so you can do these one at a time. These are kind of grouped chronologically, so you don't have to do them all at once. But whichever folder you select has to have all of the required documents uploaded in order to submit it. So before you submit, your disclosure documents, you have to make sure you have at least those minimal required disclosure documents. Same thing with the offer, so on and so forth. So if you try to submit a folder that does not have all of the documents in it, it will let you know. So you would select your folder. It will, you don't have to say what type, but you can if you'd like. This is just for contract review. And then you can hit submit, and it'll tell you right away, hey, you need these documents in order to submit. And this is set up just for FYI compliance part of things. There are a lot of different parts with different pieces of information. So we use those to reference other documents to make sure that they're all completed correctly. So when you submit a contract, we're also requiring that you submit the tax roll, because we need to verify the year built. We need to verify who's untitled to make sure that that information on the contract is correct. So they're all kind of tied together. So that's why there are certain items required before submitting for review, so that when we do review it, we have all of the information and can accurately determine if something is compliant or not. So this will ask you that these documents are required. Otherwise, it won't let you submit it. So if you want to go down to that section, it will show you here, these items are required if we want to submit our escrow documents. And so you can go in and I'll just drop some whatever items in here for required. And again, it's renaming these documents the placeholder option, the placeholder name. And so then put this in, whoops.
That's really nice that it just renames it.
Yeah. It can be an issue if you accidentally drag and drop it into the wrong placeholder, and then you won't notice until compliance goes, this is not the document you think it is. But again, it's quick and easy if you want to just get that taken care of. So you can go upload those documents. Now we can go back up here, submit for review, the escrow documents, submit. That's my note. And now you'll see down here, it needs review. And then the next process, that part of that process, it will notify the compliance team. They'll come in within 48 hours after submitting it, review it, and you'll get the notification that it's either been approved. And if that's the case, it will show you up here that the document's been approved. If not, then you will see, you'll get a message sent to you that it needs some correction, and that it would get sent back to you for that correction to be done. And you'll see here it says returned. So then once you make the correction that's needed, you can re-upload it. If you do that, I'll just show you here. You can take the document. Let's say you needed a signature. You got it. Now you can go back here, re-upload the new version. And now you'll see here, you have the document, it'll say not submitted. So it'll reset that process. So now you can go through and resubmit, anything that needs to be corrected. Does that make sense? Is there any other questions or details? I know I sped through all of that. Luckily, this is recorded.
No, that was perfect. We just, these are all just kind of, we're just introducing everybody. So the best thing for everybody to do is, let me share my screen real quick, is, you go to Dotloop and go ahead and use their webinars. I want everybody to go to Dotloop, and their support is fantastic. So, if you're unclear, sign up for the agent webinar. Okay. They have them every week. They're very good. So, that's a really good starting point if you're just confused. Another thing that you can do is you can just go to the, when you're logged into Dotloop, they do have a great chat feature. And so you can just chat, and you can access their support through chat. And so I really want to direct everybody as much as possible to the Dotloop support. So
I got even a better idea, Kevin.
What's that, pal?
Everyone should use Lauren's services.
Of course.
I shouldn't have to worry about this stuff, because as I had mentioned,
this is not why buyers and sellers hire agents for your proficiency in Dotloop or compliance systems.
No. But I do want to review real quick for everyone who maybe hasn't heard Lauren speak. She is a CAR certified, form advisor. She's also a licensed real estate agent. I know most of your staff, most of your other TCs are also licensed or certified as well. Is that correct? Yes.
All our team is licensed and certified.
So this is the kind of quality people you guys are working with. And I know I'm on my third transaction with Lauren's team. I have just had that peace of mind in the back of my head that, I can run around and do other things for the company, or I can, work in some of my other clientele, and I'm not worrying about this stuff personally. I have in my mind, I know what I have to do, to make my, my avid. I got to, make sure that, review the documentation just so I'm aware of what's happening with the disclosures and just being up to speed. But as far as this stuff and the compliance portion, I know that I have peace of mind if I have someone that is, of Lauren's caliber and her background. I can go about my day and do my business and not worry about this stuff. For a $400 one-sided transaction fee, to me, it's worth every penny. And when I was listening to Lauren go through this presentation, I just kind of was like, okay, I'm going to run some numbers. Okay, I'm going to just back into this this number. And so I looked up the median home price for California. It's actually $758,000 nowadays. So I'm just going to go at 750. Average commission 2.5%. That takes us to 18,750. Subtract Lauren's one-sided transaction fee of 400. Our average transactional fee on that price point, you're looking at $898 more or less. And so that still brings you north of 95% take home net to your pocket with a fully certified, fully audited file, which really has risk mitigation, has you're insured, you've done everything right. I can't really find a better way to be doing real estate.
Well, thank you. That is a glowing endorsement. I really appreciate that. And we try to position ourselves to really be a resource for our agents. So far this year, we've closed 341 transactions. And that's, I've been doing this for about 10 years now. And so, that quick math, right there puts a lot of experience in our pockets. And we want to be that resource for agents. And we like to tell them, let us know what you want to do, and we'll tell you, the forms to do it, to make sure that, we know how to utilize the contract and the documents to benefit either party or whatever the situation is. So we want to be that resource for agents.
Yeah, Rhonda Butler says, yes, Bill, I like your recommendation.
Of course, Rhonda.
She's a pro. She knows.
And then, so you were saying September 1st is when they can't input new SkySlope transactions, correct?
Yes, we really would like to push for that. So
Okay.
we'd like everybody to get their accounts up and running and at least log in so you know that you have your logins. But yeah, no more new transactions going into SkySlope as of September 1st.
Yeah, and even if you don't have a transaction right now, just log in and make a dummy one and kind of play around and dump some documents in there and figure out, what that process looks like. Because there's nothing more stressful than opening escrow, having to get, all of that stuff, the ball rolling and inspections and deposits, and try and figure out how to do this at the same time. That can be really frustrating. So if you have some time, just poke around.
It's a great call. Well, perfect. I'm just going to briefly thank you so much, Lauren, by the way, for coming
You're
on.
welcome.
I know you had a little snag with childcare this week. Pulled it off, and we
Hashtag
really
pandemic life.
Right? We're all doing it.
Yep.
But we really do appreciate you coming on our webinar as always. I will let you go because I know you've probably got to get going. And I'm
Thank you.
go over one more thing. But yeah, thank you so much, Lauren.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, bye-bye. So last thing I want to go over briefly is, and I'm gonna include this and make sure everybody has this. So Breakthrough Broker from Ticor Title, great resource. I constantly, showing different, resources and stuff that they provide. So one thing that I came across, which is really cool, is in this prospecting best practices, there is a really, really cool checklist that you can download. The listing prospecting checklist. It's kind of a tongue twister. But this is a really cool thing. You guys can download it for free. And this goes through a ton of different things that you can do. It's sometimes when you sit down and you're prospecting and you kind of think that you're doing everything that you think that you should be doing, it's nice to have a little checklist of a few other things that you might not be thinking of that might be appropriate for your prospecting in that particular time. So this is a really cool thing. I think everybody could benefit from this. You could just go and you can get a free account with Breaker through a broker. If you don't already have one, you can contact Michelle Denez. You can also contact Adam Cleary, and you can get those. Their information is on our Agent Resource Center on our website. So you can always go to our Agent Resource Center. You can find Lauren's information. You can find, all of our different, different people that we deal with, all of our different vendors. So really good idea is to go to our corporate directory and preferred vendor list and just download the list. And so everybody's on here. It's current. It's got all the good stuff. So we've got Adam Cleary's information right here. We've got Michelle Denez. You can contact Lauren. So really good. Everybody should have this kind of bookmarked so you know exactly who to contact and when. So anyway, I just encourage everybody to go to Breakthrough Broker, download that list. There's also another list that I found that was really cool, 105 powerful prospecting activities. So another, nice prospecting list to kind of get your brain going in the right direction. So I know we went over quite a bit, but all important stuff. I do want to thank everybody for taking the time on Wednesdays to come on our webinar and to learn a little bit more about how we can further our businesses. So we do appreciate that. So guys, get out there, make it a productive week and a great week. And we'll see you guys next week on the webinar where we will discuss different things that are going on throughout the state. So be prepared for that. All right, guys, have a great day.